Hello and welcome to our video series which sees me, Creative Head Editor Amanda Nottage, having a chat with leading Wella creatives from across the industry. We're going to be talking about career paths, inspirations, workspaces and anything else that might pop up along the way. Now joining me today is co-owner and managing director of Alan Keville for hair and Wella guest artist is Alex Keville.
Hi Amanda, how are you getting on?
I'm getting on very well, my dear. How are you?
I'm very good.
Now, my dear, I want to ask you, hair. You've made a pretty good career out of it already. What was it about hair from a young age that really grabbed hold of you and made you want to choose that as your life's passion, your vocation?
I've just always loved doing hair, playing with hair. I think from the age of about 6, I used to charge my sister. I think about 10p to actually plait her hair, and I actually started creating like a little business right then.
Brilliant.
So when I was about 12, my mom's best friend was a hairdresser, and I just used to love watching her, creating the shapes, styles, everything like that, and I just begged for a sachet job. And that was the end of it then. I was just obsessed. I was just infatuated by all these different fabulous creative people, this industry, and I just adore it.
Now I know that you love a bit of colour.
Love colour.
What is it about colour right now that gets you all excited?
I love the way that colour has actually started to become more mainstream now in the industry, as in it's something that I love the beauty side of hair. So I love the fact that you can use colour just to create and just to enhance someone's personality, to make them feel better. What I love at the moment is that Wella's brought out these fabulous new innovative products that you can use to enhance and just create new colours and fashionable pops that isn't necessarily permanent. That you can just change up someone's look. So you can give someone a beautiful head of highlights that they can use every day for work, and when they're in their everyday life, that they can go away for a weekend and be someone who they want to be. That's a bit different than their natural workplace, and I think we've just been allowed to see a lot more of that over the last year, and that's what really excites me this year, is you can just give something that's not permanent but create something that people can just be someone else for a weekend.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
You got 4 salons,
4 salons.
in Ireland. Describe to me your kind of the client that is in your chair. Who is the Alan Keville for hair client, would you say?
I'm so lucky that I work with a really, really diverse group of people. And I think we all have equally our own clientele. So everyone inspires everybody else. So we're very, very diverse in all the salons, and I think as hairdressers and as people, we attract people maybe like ourselves that kind of get each other.
A lovely mix.
A lovely mix.
What would you say you need around you to be able to get creative? Describe to me your space where you go when you've got to find inspiration and think about perhaps competition work that you might be about to start on. What do you need around you?
What do I need? I think headspace is the biggest thing. I think when I work 5 days a week in the salon, and the salon is your bread and butter. It's what we have a 4-year-old daughter. It's what we have to create. We have to keep our business thriving to do all the creative side of things. And what you can always get bogged down with is not taking, you do your clients, you do business, you do clients, and you don't take time out to breathe, to actually acknowledge your surroundings and acknowledge what's going on in the world. And I think going to a museum when you're away on holiday, or go into maybe a salon in Paris or something, and or go into the events like TrendVision and all these things, they bring out your creative, but you have to allow yourself time to actually love that and actually acknowledge it. And I think it's always about, I think if you have time in that and then giving yourself headspace to allow creativity to come back in, I think that's really, really important.
Smashing. Now, you've talked about the diverse team that you work with across your salons. I want to ask you, in an ideal world, who would be in your dream team? You can choose any iconic hairdresser from across the years. If you could choose a few to be in a team and work with on a project, who would it be?
Wow, I've been inspired by so many people throughout the years, and I think everyone brings so much to the table. I mean, I'll never forget like Zoe Irwin. I know that a lot of people talk about her, but she actually came to a salon I worked in when I just started working full time in a salon in Cork, and I think I was about 17 or 18, and she was just fresh off the catwalk doing Naomi Campbell's hair, and she was just so down to earth, so normal. She's so lovely, but she just has this inspiration. It's never changed her. She just has this creativeness. She's insane. I also then was very, very lucky to work alongside Richard Thompson from Mahogany when he was like head in Mahogany.
Yep.
And he has a creative vision, and he has a vision that is more structural, more creative, and he just knew hair, he just knew how to play with hair, and he just do this. And so his cuttings, Zoe's finish and colour, Edward Darley's colour, like Edward Darley's colour, like everything he does is beautiful. Do you know, there's nothing that you've ever seen that doesn't suit the person. Do you know what I mean? You just see something that's creative on every single stage that you see him on, but it's not. Everything was for a reason. I like the fact that it's done for a reason there, because it does this to make it beautiful, and it just makes sense. And I think definitely those three. Photography like John Ross, and then, you know, maybe if you had him alongside, because he does this thing with his hands and fluffs it up to create a really, really good image. God, there's so many people.
Many. I know. He's
my husband.
Yeah, but include him. Just sneak him in there at the end.
Him, like 100%. He's insane at hair. So yeah.
I'll give you that. Yeah. That's a pretty strong dream
team.
Team. Yeah. I'm going to give you them.
I'd be in dreamland with that now.
Fabulous.
And, but there is so many new younger hairdressers as well coming in and coming up, and we're seeing all that now in the industry and social media and everything. Social media,
that's a great point. I'm going to ask you about Instagram. How important is social media and Instagram to you today as a hairdresser for building your own profile, for building, I guess, the brand, the business, showing what you can do?
So important. So important. I love social media. Okay. I think the first thing that I love about social media is the fact that it's actually from Pinterest, from Instagram. It allows some of your clients who maybe aren't as creative to give you a direction in what they want their hair to be. Yep. Sometimes I think the hardest thing is trying to get across to a hairdresser, and I think that's the problem that most hairdressers maybe have, or most clients have, is trying to explain what they want and explain what they're actually looking for. And I mean, they used to have the hair magazines, but they were always like, nobody really wants that. But whereas if you have an idea of what someone wants to do, there's no denying a picture. Right. You can't misinterpret a picture where you can misinterpret words.
Of course, because their buttery blonde may be very different from your idea of a buttery blonde.
So
yes.
From that, I think it's really, really important, and I think it really it allows the client to feel very, very comfortable in the chair. That's from a salon point of view. Yep. That's what I find. I also find, obviously, for a business point of view, it's very important, because you are now well known without having to be like on a stage, maybe in front of people. I mean, you can actually be known to hairdressers, and then you have the small hairdressers as well that do really, really good work. And it's just nice to be proud of your work enough to put it on social media, and I think it allows everybody to give themselves a little pat on the back.
That's a fantastic way of describing it. I love that. Now, you have had incredible success with Wella TrendVision.
Yeah.
I want to ask you today, what is it that you get from competing, and what is it that you love about TrendVision specifically?
I was really, really nervous about going back into doing competitions after I had my daughter. I found that sometimes I look at hairdressers and I feel like there's this amazing bunch of creative people that are also beautiful, that are also so creative, that are buzzing all the time, and sometimes it's really hard as to feel yourself fitting into that.
Right.
But the one thing I did find about the Wella TrendVision is it brings a group of really, really passionate people together, and everybody's there actually like egging everyone else on.
Yep.
Everyone has your back. It's not a competition.
Okay.
It is a competition, but it's not the fact that you just create a bunch of friends that all want you to all do well. Obviously, we're all here for the main prize at the end of the day. Like you want to win the TrendVision. It's the ultimate dream, but it's not intimidating in the fact that everybody who is in the Wella TrendVision is there as a passionate hairdresser.
Brilliant.
In a creative industry.
Yeah.
Presenting presenting their best work. It's just a really, really inspiring competition.
Now, as a managing director of 4 salons, I'd love to ask you, we've seen in the industry a move much more to mobile and freelance hairdressers. When it comes to a client sat in your chair, paying a premium to have a fantastic service, what do you have to do to make it brilliant, make it such an amazing experience, visit, that they're going to keep coming back?
I think what we have to do is we have to, like, as hairdressers in the industry, we want to keep salon and salon culture alive. I think it's really, really important. So I think what we've seen in on the high street and everything, we see there's definitely been a move in consumers from the high street to online, and I think we're seeing a similar comparison in the hairdressing industry, and I think that would be the likes of mobile hairdressing, maybe from social media influence. But what we have to do is we have to then make their salon visit an experience. We have to make it like a destination. So what you then see is what maybe Apple has started to do. So when you go into an Apple store, you actually have an experience. You go into an Apple store and it's an experience, and that's very, very different than buying an Apple phone off the street. And I think that's what we have to look at doing. We have to look at making sure that when we have a client in the salon, from the first minute they come into the salon, we create this experience that she won't get from a mobile hairdresser. Because in a world that is very much online, having a personal touch in the salon, seeing people talk to each other, seeing people talk to other hairdressers, having a buzz around the salon, it's not it's not the same as what you get at home. And I think as once we keep a salon culture and a personal experience, and maybe a really much a destination, you go there to be excited, you go there to have a nice coffee, having the hair done, looking at people becoming happy, because that's what we do as a salon. We make people feel better.
So if happiness delivery service.
And if a lot of people go out like that, then that makes it a nice place to go.
Absolutely.
And you don't get that from mobile.
Fabulous.
So
you've got so much passion for hair.
Love it.
Can I ask you, if you hadn't been a hairdresser, can you imagine another career you would have ended up in?
Well, my dad is he's a civil structural engineer. So he himself and myself, I probably would have been something along architecture or engineering. I do like the structural side of things. I love it making sense. I think you start in one place and you end up here.
Right, so it makes sense.
I like to do a colour. It's beautifully creative, but it has to start from one position and end up something. And so I do find myself very much like my dad, and it probably would have been something along the architecture kind of engineering side of it.
Architecture's loss is our gain. And finally, I'm going to ask you, you've achieved so much, but what is still on your hit list, those ambitions that you've still to cross off?
I'd love to get gold in TrendVision.
Gold in TrendVision. You can do it.
Yeah, just keep it alive. Like just keep it. I think what I have to do is inspire my team to create, like, to keep what we have now in hairdressing is a culture, and I think we just need to keep that passion there.
Yep.
As in the only way of doing that is being surrounded by other passionate people. So I think that I just have to keep doing it.
Keep the passion alive.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much for your time today. I love your passion.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.